Thanks, Space Rogue. 2009 was a short year for us here at Hacker News Network. We didn't kick things off until July, really, but plenty's happened in those 6 months. We opened 2009 with a vulnerability in SSL, and perhaps fittingly, that's also how we closed it. The MD5 collision bug that opened the year saw great play under the radar, but it wasn't until after H&N started podcasting that Moxie Marlinspike's null prefix attack caught everyone's attention. And now SSL closes out 09 with a client-initiated renegotiation bug that the industry has deemed a moderate risk, even after IBM's POC against Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, this was a big year for them. Twitter facilitated the closest thing Iran has seen to a revolution since the Carter administration. To a lot of our viewers, that administration qualifies as ancient history. On the negative side, Twitter is now clogged with celebrity narcissists, tiny mystery URLs, worms, and weak passwords. One thing's for sure, though. As of 2009, Twitter is here to stay. Configur's been quite the thorn in our producer's side. He still doesn't know what it is. I think he's got a Mac. Anyone? And that brings us to Solo. Space Rogue.
Solo. Solo's mum. Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, has been accused of the so-called biggest military hack of all time by U.S. prosecutors. Solo's application for judicial review is set to be heard on July 14th. Judges will then decide if he is to be extradited to the U.S. to face criminal charges for his actions. Solo's legal team has stated that they plan to take their case to the European Court of Human Rights if a House of Lords appeals fails. Solo has won the support of Sarah Brown, the wife of the UK Prime Minister. Solo has also garnered support from Joseph Gutines, a cybercriminal investigator at NASA itself. Solo is expected to be extradited within the next few weeks. The extradition of Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, from the UK to the US is drawing more and more attention. Most recently, London Mayor Boris Johnson has jumped on the bandwagon, calling the extradition, quote, brutal, mad, and wrong, unquote. Wow, this thing is getting bigger than the Free Kevin movement ever got.
Solo now has a defense fund to be used if his appeals to fight his extradition are unsuccessful. Venture capital investor Luke Heron has pledged £100,000 to help finance Solo's defense should he face trial in the US. In addition, Chrissy Hine, David Gilmour, and Sir Bob Geldof have recorded a music video in support of Solo, pleading with the citizens of London and the UK to make a bigger stink in an effort to prevent his extradition. The Staffordshire Adult Autistic Society of the UK has appealed directly to the Queen herself in an effort to stop the extradition of Solo, aka Gary McKinnon. The ACLU has also gotten into the act. In addition, a protest was held this week in front of the US Embassy in London in an attempt to stop his extradition. 3 senior MPs in the UK lobbied Home Secretary Alan Johnson in an effort to stop the extradition of Solo. After losing his final, yes, really final, appeal to the UK Supreme Court, Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, is set to be extradited to the US to stand trial. His mother hasn't given up yet, though, and is appealing one last time to the UK Home Secretary and will lodge a final appeal to the European Court of Human Rights. Solo's, aka Gary McKinnon's, final appeal evidently wasn't very final, as the UK Home Secretary has decided to delay his extradition to the US to face 7-year-old charges of breaking into NASA computers. UK Home Secretary Alan Johnson has finally made a decision in regards to Solo. Johnson has decided that the extradition would not contravene McKinnon's human rights and that he had no general discretion to intervene in the case.
Lawyers for Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, have filed a last-ditch effort for judicial review to stop his extradition to the US to face charges of breaking into numerous NASA computer systems. One final demonstration in support of Gary is scheduled for December 15th outside the Home Office.
Details of SegVec's supposedly sealed plea agreement are starting to emerge. It looks like they want to try the Solo defense, as initial psychiatric reports indicate that SegVec suffers from Asperger's syndrome. Solo's mum, Janice Sharp, hasn't given up yet. While awaiting the decision of the recently filed judicial review, she has appealed directly to the Queen. The judicial review is expected to be completed by the end of the month. No word from the Queen yet, but seeing as there may soon be precedent for an Asperger's defense from the SegVec case, Solo might just want to try his luck here in the US after all.
So you can see, 2009 had some pretty interesting themes. SSL fell, Twitter rose, Facebook privacy options are still a stark raving joke. I went through about 20 hairstyles, and much like Configure, Solo went, well, nowhere fast. That's it for me this year. This is Courtney for the Hacker News Network. Back to you, Space Rogue.